Hi, I'm Freya Purnell from Inside SAP magazine. This morning we're talking to Jeff Word, Vice President of Product Strategy from SAP AG. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you very much, glad to be here.
Now, why is the pace of change of technology accelerating so rapidly?
Well, there's a couple of different laws of nature in the technology industry. The first one obviously is Moore's Law, which keeps being proven over and over again after 40-something years to be a law of gravity, so to speak, in the industry, of increasing capabilities for lower cost every 18 months. You also have the network power is constantly increasing as well, and connections between companies and people, obviously Facebook and things like that, again prove out the exponential power of networks. And so when you combine the technical infrastructure capabilities, things such as cloud now are becoming much more affordable and very interesting opportunities for infrastructure. Then you combine those with the increasing power of networking, of people connecting around the world. Obviously the internet has opened up just about everybody to the global markets. So when you combine those two things, this increasing rapid pace of change is really impacting the way people do their business. And so from an SAP perspective, that's what we really look at is it's not necessarily change just in technologies, but it's the capabilities for running your business more efficiently that you can extract from those new technology capabilities and the new connections that you get through the networking.
Okay, great. So what are the most important technologies in the market right now?
From SAP, we really categorize it in about 4 different levels of technologies because there's not one thing that you can say and point out is really the next big thing. There's really 4 aspects to this, and if you look at it, it's kind of they're spreading rather than going in one direction. The first thing you've got is, we call it on-premise. So there's lots and lots of innovation happening into the traditional on-premise applications that most people are familiar with from SAP. And within that is probably the in-memory technology that we announced at Sapphire this year. SAP's in-memory technology is bringing an exponential, literally several orders of magnitude change in the power and capability that you can extract from SAP. So it's not just simply the ability to execute a process more efficiently, but it's the ability to take every single little piece of data within your company and extract value out of that very, very quickly. So putting data into the hands of everyone for an extraordinarily low cost of transaction cost for doing that. At the same time, we've got lots and lots of innovation happening in the cloud or on demand. So from SAP, you actually have 2 kind of variants of that. One is the extension to processes that are happening inside the traditional on-premise, so as an extension of an on-premise process. We see lots of companies really looking at that as a very quick way to extend their capabilities and add new functionality to their business in the cloud, but at the same time maintain the integrity of their process with the back end, because backends aren't going away anytime soon. And then at the same time, we also have cloud native applications that are being built as well. Things that you could never do in an on-premise environment just for technical and architectural reasons. The cloud allows us to build entirely new applications outside of any one company's infrastructure, outside of any one firewall, and really build that for network type of business processes. And then at the same time, we have 2 other aspects to it. The first is obviously mobile, and we've just announced the closure of our Sybase acquisition that really adds an entirely new level of capabilities to really bring SAP to every mobile device on the planet. And that really is our overarching goal for this, is to really extend that last mile or that last few inches really to people's thumbs to get them to actually interact with their SAP process. And so that really provides an entirely new way to expand the reach of your business and obviously get a lot more value out of your SAP systems. And then the 4th way that we see it is really, when you look at those other 3 things, the on-premise, on-demand, and on-device, orchestrating all of that with the integrity of the business process is an incredible challenge. And so the orchestration capabilities needed to manage all of these new interaction modes with their enterprise software is really one of the key things that we're looking at as well, the ability to orchestrate this. So not just SOA and the architectural aspects of it, but really maintaining the business process and data integrity across any of these potential devices or potential use cases that are coming up.
Okay, you mentioned cloud computing, and you're obviously presenting on that today. How influential will that be over the next 5 years?
We see that as a very, very important growing type of infrastructural capability, but also a business capability that our customers are really starting to look at. Again, most of our existing customers have a significant investment in their on-premise applications, and they're not going to get rid of those anytime soon. But they are looking for opportunities to do two things. Number one, extend the value of that investment that they already have and the capabilities that they have in their on-premise. And then at the same time, looking for ways to do entirely new things that couldn't be done in an on-premise world, or not extensions of this, entirely new processes, especially network business processes. And so we have two different ways to do that inside SAP, two different types of technology that we're really actively working on to deliver that. But at the same time, SAP has embraced the cloud more to a greater degree than any other company on the planet at this point, with the launch and the release of Business by Design 2.5 this week. It's an incredibly big thing that's happened, especially for the mid-market and small and medium businesses around the world, that you could run an entire suite, everything you need to run your entire company in the cloud, with nothing on-premise. So when people talk about cloud, sometimes the definition gets a little cloudy, unfortunately. And like I said, from SAP's perspective, we take a very pragmatic approach. What is going to help our customers deliver more value and extract more value of the investments they've already made and the infrastructure they already have by extending that? What types of new capabilities can they do natively in the cloud that they couldn't do in an existing environment for various reasons? And then also, for the small and medium businesses, how can you run your entire company in the cloud? And so SAP has been investing significant amounts of resources into this over the past 5 or 6 years, and now we're really starting to roll out the fruits of that development effort.
So looking forward, what do you think the next phase of innovation for SAP might produce?
Well, like I said, you're going to see innovation from SAP coming in these 4 vectors. You're going to see lots of on-premise, traditional SAP implementation style capabilities, but you can see lots of innovations under the hood. They're going to make that investment that our customers have made more valuable, more powerful, and allow them to extract more value out of that. So a lot of the innovations might not be the traditional sexy type of innovations that you might associate with an Apple or something like that, because it's a little bit behind the scenes, but these things from an IT and architectural perspective are fundamentally changing the way our companies consume and get value out of SAP. At the same time, you're going to see lots of innovation in the on-demand and cloud computing world. Like I said, from those two different perspectives, extending the processes from their on-premise applications, and then at the same time doing entirely new things, entire new business models, entire new capabilities natively in the cloud that they weren't able to do before. You're going to see, again, with the new capabilities from our acquisition of Sybase, you're going to see fundamental shifts in the way that mobile devices consume, display, and people interact with their SAP systems around the world through those capabilities, and a lot more investment that we're going to put into the Sybase portfolio. And then the last thing, like I said, you're going to see lots of innovation in the ability to orchestrate all of these new different consumption methods and interaction methods with SAP. When you start getting outside of that controlled environment of a tightly controlled on-premise IT, when you start spreading things outside of the firewall and putting it on mobile devices and iPads and cloud-based applications, the governance, the ability to orchestrate the process and ensure the integrity of the data and the process and the applications, regardless of where they sit around the world, whether they're on your handheld device or on a laptop or on a server somewhere, the ability to orchestrate that, you can see significant innovations from SAP coming in those directions.
Okay, great. Now, with so much change happening in the technology space, how can IT people stay abreast of the changes that are happening and choose the best developments for their organisations?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and I'm highly partial to SAP's developer network and the SAP community network. I was involved in the creation of that, and so it's one of my special babies at SAP. And we have nearly 2 million members on that right now. Globally, around the world, sharing knowledge, talking about these new things, getting exposure to all the new ways that they can get more value out of the things that SAP is delivering in the traditional way, and then all these new things that are coming. So number one, I'd highly recommend that people get involved, start interacting with their colleagues and people around the world. That's the best possible way to share knowledge about SAP and to get abreast of what's going on. At the same time, SAP has, from a technical perspective, our tech ed events around the world. We have 4 events around the world, one in the US, one in Europe, one in India, and one in China, this every fall. So that is, from a technical perspective, the absolute best opportunity to get their hands on the latest and greatest stuff, talk to people that are using it, talk to the early adopters, find out what the real value is, what the real ROI of these things are, and get some great ideas to take back with them. And so that's kind of the physical connection side of what they find on the online version in the SAP Community Network. So it's kind of 2 sides of the same coin. And like I said, I can't speak highly enough about the value that our customers get from those 2 things, the face-to-face and then that. I'd also say that the SAUG and the Australian User Group events like this are phenomenal ways to learn from other customers as well. And you're also going to see a lot of new media type of interactions with SAP. We've got SAP TV putting out lots of fun stuff on YouTube, and SAP's got Twitter feeds and all these different ways. So there's no shortage of ways to keep abreast of these things. But one of the things that I'm most proud of is what we launched at Sapphire earlier this year, and will be continuing at SAP TechEd around the world, is we actually have our labs, and I was in charge of managing that at Sapphire, Innovation Lab, where we actually take stuff that's in the labs. It's half-baked, it's not ready yet, which is something we never really do at SAP. We tend to over-engineer the launch process to make sure that it's, when customers finally see it, it's completely ready for them. We said, wait a second, this stuff really is changing the way people do it. Let's give our customers an early peek, a sneak peek, if you will, into the labs. The stuff's not ready, it's half-baked. I like to say it's kind of like looking at the ultrasound of a baby before it's born. You can kind of see what it's going to look like, but you don't really know yet, right? And that was phenomenal response to that we had at Sapphire, and so we're going to continue that at TechEd, and you're going to see an online version of that as well, where SAP is really showing early on in the development stage a lot of these new innovations that are coming from us, and the next generation of a lot of these things, so our customers will get much, much closer to the development cycles of this, albeit sometimes virtually, but they get to see it, they get to give us their opinions, and they get to be involved, and so we're co-innovating with our customers much more deeply than we have in the past, and I think that's a really exciting thing for our customers to get involved with, and so it's anybody can come and give us their opinions on these things. We welcome that, we welcome the new use cases that our customers give us, and we even welcome the criticism of what they think works and what doesn't work. That helps us deliver to them more value when the product actually is sent out to the market.
Terrific. Well, thank you for joining us, Jeffrey.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate your insights. We'll be back with more interviews later this morning.